So I'm leaving church, and this lady came up to me after service and basically was saying that she had wanted to come up to me after a previous service, maybe on a previous Sunday, but that she wasn't, she didn't see me. So she said that the reason that she came up to me was because she felt like I would be a good prayer warrior. And I thought, oh, wow, that's really nice. That's really sweet. And so for those of you who may or may not be believers, that's fine. This message is just about what I shared with her, because what I realized was that the information that I shared with her, I had not planned on sharing it with her. I didn't even know her. This is my first time ever seeing her or meeting her. But when she came up to me, I was like, okay, yeah, no, I wouldn't mind praying with you at all. How can I help? What can I do? And so I asked her, she said, so much is going on, and she actually began to cry. And I just said, well, just tell me one thing. And the one thing that she brought up is she started to talk about her child, one of her children, an adult child, basically that child is not living in the way that, she would prefer. And basically saying that the kid is making some decisions that probably aren't in her best interest. So I proceed to tell her that, is this kid grown? And she said, yes, this kid is grown. I said, well, then those are her decisions. And, as a parent, we really shouldn't be letting the decisions of our children, letting those decisions kind of dictate our peace. And so I began to talk to her about the stages of change model. And so that's what I wanted to share with y'all today. I know it took a while for me to get there, but follow along. Stay with me, okay? So basically, I was just telling her that people aren't going to change until they're ready to change. And that there's a whole psychological principle related to this. It's called the stages of change model. And the theorists are Prochaska and DiClemente. I can't remember the year, but this is one of the models that has been, that's a standby for me. And most of the work that I do in my day job as a psychologist, I'm always talking to people about people are not going to change until they're ready to change. And so this model is all about that, and actually breaks down change into stages so that you can kind of see where a person is as it relates to whether they're really ready to make some kind of a change in their life. So I want to briefly talk to you about what those stages are, and to then have you go do your own research so you can figure out whether, if there's something that you want to change, you can kind of think about where are you in the stages to know whether you're actually going to end up changing those behaviors. I'm only going to talk about the first 4 today, but do your own research. So the first stage is called pre-contemplation, and I'm sure you can just break that word down and know that it's pre, which means before, and then contemplation, which means to think about. And so the pre-contemplation stage is basically the stage where the person doesn't even recognize that there is a problem. They're not even aware that a problem exists. They don't think they need to change because they don't see it as an issue. So that person is not going to change their behavior because they don't realize there's anything that needs to be changed. So that first stage is pre-contemplation, and it's all about a lack of awareness. So in order for somebody to change, first they have to be aware that a problem exists. So if the person doesn't know the problem exists, they're in pre-contemplation, okay? Second stage, contemplation. Basically, that stage is about thinking. So they recognize that there's a problem. They are aware that they're not exactly where they would like to be, and they're thinking about changing, but they're not necessarily doing anything about it. So contemplation stage, which is that second stage, is all about thinking. They're aware that, okay, let's say I wanted to stop smoking. So I'm aware that smoking is not good for me. I'm aware that smoking is an expensive habit. I'm aware that it could negatively impact my life. I may end up with some sort of a cancer or something like that, asthma, breathing issues related to smoking. So I recognize that it's a problem, and I'm thinking about stopping. I'm thinking about changing. I'm thinking about, what would that look like? What would life be like if I were to not be a smoker? So I recognize that there's a problem, but I'm not necessarily doing anything about it just yet. So I'm in contemplation stage. All right. So first stage, pre-contemplation. Second stage, contemplation. Third stage is called action. So somebody who's in the action stage, not only do they recognize that there's a problem, not only have they thought about changing and thought about ways to change, they are actually doing something about it. So they are in the action stage. They are acting things out. They are doing things to move themselves down that journey of change. And so a person who's in action, they have a plan, they're doing things, they're making sure that they are on that journey to make life better for themselves. The next stage is, and you don't get through action until you've changed. So you can be in the action stage for quite some time. After that, that fourth stage is all about maintaining the behaviors that you changed. And so it's called maintenance. And then the fifth one, I believe, is called termination. And then we always have to be concerned about relapse. And so we always want to have a plan about, okay, well, what happens if I decided to stop smoking and I did all the things and I stopped smoking? How am I going to maintain that? And then what is my plan if by chance I do kind of, if I'm around somebody who's a smoker and I choose to smoke, what is life going to be like for me? How can I not totally throw the baby out with the bathwater and just start smoking full tilt again, but to understand that was a slip up and that I can still maintain my change. So that's the stages of change model. I want you all to think about some things or a thing that you might be interested in changing in your own life. And then kind of think about where you are in that change journey. Where are you in those stages of change? Are you pre-contemplation, which means you don't even know that it's a problem? Are you in contemplation? Are you in action? Or have you been acting and you made that change and now you're in a place of maintaining the changes that you made? So I hope that this was helpful. For those of you who are believers like myself, I also, this was just off the hip. I didn't even think about this, but as I was talking to her, I was giving her scriptures that kind of aligned with each one of the stages. And y'all, I thought this was awesome because I had never even thought about what scriptures might align with these different stages. But I'm thinking I might write a book about it, or at least a blog post, because I was pretty proud of myself. But I'll give you an example for those of you who are believers. And if you're not, this is not meant to offend. You can scroll. But for that first stage, pre-contemplation, I told her that for her daughter, who may not even recognize that, the decisions that she's making are not in her best interest, she's in the pre-contemplation stage, and her prayer, mom's prayer, could be that her daughter receives a spirit of wisdom and revelation so that she can begin to understand how her behaviors and how the things that she's doing may or may not be in her best interest, and that there are consequences to everything that we do. So basically, revelation, getting understanding about what she's doing, so that hopefully she can move into the next stage and become aware, and then move into the next stage, which is contemplation. All right, y'all, that was what I wanted to share. I know I was talking fast, but I'm driving. Really shouldn't be talking to y'all, but I am, because I'm really focused on the road. Wearing my shades is making it so that I don't look at the camera and look at myself. But anyway, y'all make it a great Sunday. Leave me a comment, drop me a comment if this content resonated with you, and I will chat with y'all later. Bye.